Pickaxe.
Welcome to the Chance Encounters podcast. We've been running board game cafes around the UK for about 6 years now. From family dues to hen dues, from first dates to breakups, we've recommended a board game for it all. And now we're looking for a fresh challenge. Each week we'll be inviting a guest onto the podcast who will come armed with an abstract and absurd scenario, and it's up to us to figure out what that situation calls for and suggest a game that totally turns the crank, kicks the boot, topples the bucket, sends the marble down some stairs, knocking a ball into a bathtub, which propels the diver into a paddling pool, unleashes the cage, and then really catches their mouse.
Oh, chess. I've heard of that game.
Checkmate.
Nice.
First time.
Perfect.
Impressive.
Yeah.
The game recommendation our guest loves the most will score a point, and at the end of the series, whoever has the most points will be crowned the Titan of Board Games.
Whoa.
Now, if you haven't been following the series, we have a clear lead here, but we won't be announcing any winners yet. We haven't properly tallied. There's no been official scorekeeping here.
In classic Harry Potter style, the last episode is worth 1,000 points.
Professor McGonagall, Dumbledore, who's going to get the points today?
It's all to play for.
I am one of your hosts, Richard Scarsbrook. I'm the founder of Chance Encounters, and I love books.
Oh.
Who doesn't love books in this day and age?
I mean, yeah, you're really setting us up for an awkward opinion here.
Whoa.
Well, I'm
Hot
Ben.
takes.
I work at the Yogscast. I do streaming. I'm a massive nerd. I love board games. And I too have read a book.
Ooh. And our guest guru for the episode today is none other than Dickie Jordan.
Hi, guys. I'm Dickie. I am a fully fledged nerd.
Mm.
I have worked for Chance Encounters for a very long time.
Yep.
In a variety of roles. Currently humble guru. And I like graphic novels.
I see you like the pictures.
Yeah.
The picture books.
Pretty pictures.
And our guest for this week is none other than Tom.
Howdy, partners. Apparently, I'm a cowboy. Yeah, I'm a long time suffering friend of Ben's. I guess that's why I'm here.
Technically correct.
Technically correct, the best kind of correct. Yeah, so I guess a nerd. I know of books, but they pay me to lead, not to read.
That's
so, yeah, that's not really my forte.
Well, welcome onto the podcast. It's good to have you here. Yes, well, now we've done the complicated book situation. I'm glad
Good.
we've got that out of the way
Absolutely
early on.
cleaned up.
Yeah, everyone is literally able to read. I don't know where we're going with this.
There's almost a pun in there, isn't there?
Yeah.
Literally. We got it. We nailed it.
Done.
All the ingredients are there. You can make that joke yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What
It's
we
like an IKEA joke. There might even be some spare bits. Who knows?
Yeah.
That is the situation with some Lego. My wife did her first Lego recently, and she was literally like, what do I do with these pieces? And if you don't have a lot of Lego, well, you don't have the big box that you can just throw it into. And now you're like, now do I make a Lego box? What do I can't throw this away.
No,
Did I get it wrong? Will I ever know?
Lego ain't cheap, you know? We've got a little jam jar we keep on a shelf with all the spare Lego in it. It's like about an inch deep of just random, because it's always the small bits you get. extra ones off. You never get a huge sheet or an extra wheel or something like that. It's always just a one stud round thing.
Oh man, you keep saving those up for a couple of years, and then that's a new birthday present.
Ooh.
Oh, you've got to work out what it is yourself. You just empty up all those spare bits.
Yeah.
It's perfect. I wonder what the theory is behind. Is it because they're going to be easier to lose?
Surely.
I mean, board games don't come with additional bits.
Easier for them to forget to pack when they're constructing it in the factory.
Wait, is there a person constructing this? I assumed it was all automated.
No, it's a factory guy, right? Like someone in a factory who's just like, did I put 6 or 7 round things in there? I'll just put 2 more in, and then I don't have to count them.
So we're saying it's the equivalent of like McDonald's nuggies, where you're like, oh, I've got a 10. They come in 9, so a 10's a good one.
Okay, yeah. Well, I guess also it's hard for whoever's packing with those big Lego hands just to pick up one piece at a time. Not great dexterity.
Yeah.
Kind of struggle.
If you're
with
gonna give people scoops, you can't expect them to count.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly.
I would imagine that would be the uniform that you have to go like every time you're in the factory. You're like, okay, have you put on your suit?
Oh no, please!
I want to be able to actually bend my elbows.
You there? Did I see you bend at the knee?
Never.
The worst part would be the hair, surely.
Oh yeah. Oh no, but they'd be so easy. Every day you just come in and you just click on the haircut.
That's true. You don't even need to wash.
I mean, that would be the dream for me. Oh, God.
That's a visual
So-
gag. Unfortunately,
Yeah.
Dickie is devoid of...
Yeah, I forgot my wig today.
You did.
Yeah.
But luckily, he does have a big stud in the center of his head, just waiting for that Lego hair technology just to hit the mainstream.
Yeah.
I feel like that would just be a thing. It would become so cool that it doesn't matter whether or not you have hair or not. You'd suddenly be like, give me that stud.
This is a just terrible half-remembered reference. Wasn't that a thing? Did the dad in Honey, I Shrunk the Kids invent that before he did
Oh
the
my God.
shrinking machine? Didn't he? Wasn't there like
He had a whole bunch
invention
of
that
wacky
where there was like
inventions.
you have a thing installed on your head that you stick your hair on?
A hair plug.
Like a hair plug, but
But just the
an
one.
interchangeable.
I have no idea.
Maybe,
Yeah,
maybe not.
I'm going to just hope so and say yes.
Okay, great. A nice, timely
Like-
Honey, I Shrunk the Kids reference.
I
Everyone's been
think
waiting
when
for.
I think back to that film, it's very much the actiony bits in the grass that I remember.
Yeah.
Like just like
Okay.
the
I just
start and
remember
end of that
Anti.
film, I have no idea. They could have died, and I wouldn't know.
Oh God, yeah.
Maybe they did.
He's,
Maybe that's the tragic ending of Honey Shrunk the Kids that we've all forgotten.
Oh God, the dark times that we just repressed.
Yeah, when they got the lawnmower out.
God, yeah. Actually, there were a lot more kids until that lawnmower came out. They cut those side stories. Wow.
Quite literally.
Quite literally, yeah. Okay.
I see what you did there.
Nice.
So, you have come with this absurd and abstract scenario for us today.
I sure have. So the scenario that I'm kind of imagining
Mhm.
I may end up in at some point. So this might need a recommendation. Is I've gone to the Council of Elrond,
Mhm.
right? They're working out what they want to do with the one ring.
Yep.
But that time when you could be waiting to go on a grand adventure, or you might just be waiting for some other friends to turn up to your regular gaming group, and you just want something light to play with
Mhm.
people
Mhm.
before you kind of get into the real meat of it. And so a lot of people, a lot of different backgrounds, and ideally would like to be able to find out who the Boromir of the group is
Yeah.
as early as possible, because I'd rather work out that Ben's an asshole than when we're still in the woods.
I feel like
Yeah.
I've been really upfront about that.
Yeah, we can solve that mystery very quickly. But I think it's better to find out then than when you're on the side of a mountain and suddenly some guy twice my
Yeah.
height turns on me. So
Oh my God, I hate to think of that monster of a man.
Giganto. Yeah, my Fellowship of the Ring is going to be a lot wackier than the one that was in the movie. When Mungo 5000 is part of the squad. So yeah, please, game gurus, can you help me with my quandary? Is that what we say?
That's perfect.
Nice.
You really remembered that line we gave you.
Just nailed it.
No, that's excellent. Okay, so is this for real life, or does it matter where is it a fantasy scenario we're recommending this for specifically? Is the magic in the game going to be real?
Oh no, that feels like a slippery slope to start
Yeah.
going down, as there are some games that have magic involved that I don't really want to hit me in real life. I don't want to get full Jumanji right now.
Yeah.
If you're like, oh, it's game of life. Boom, you now have 2 kids. Like, what the heck? Just the
part of your backstories.
And now I have to take care of 2 miniature Toms. That does not sound like a thing I need to get involved in.
Oh my God, and now someone twice their height is turning on them.
Yeah, exactly. Oh God. Oh no.
Now we've found out who the Boromir is.
Oh God.
Get out of the
no.
car, kids.
Wow, it was me all along. What would be the worst game to have? Like, what card from a game?
What to happen to you in real life?
Yeah. Because, like...
I mean, one of the obvious ones would be some form of Cards Against Humanity. It's like that's a... those get pretty bad
They get
fairly
pretty
quickly.
dark, don't they? Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah. There's,
A lot of combinations in there.
Go to jail. Do you not pass go?
yeah, just that classic, like, go to jail, just, ooh.
Oh, but I didn't do anything.
I didn't do anything, please.
Where's the Court of Appeals here?
Yeah. It's like Judge Dredd in Monopoly.
Wow.
Boom. 3 weeks on the ISO cubes.
Sorry, this square is only... you cannot park here if you've gone, straight to jail.
Yeah.
The rest of the time, I mean, what is that supposed to teach you? Is it just supposed to teach you don't step a toe out of line?
No, because you can literally, no matter what you do, you just draw that card and it gets you. It teaches you that like the law is unjust and unfair and can strike at any time. Yeah.
I feel this gets into a very political nature at this point. Very heavy. As we know, we're the prime political podcast. We're moving into that. So.
I'm glad that we kind of took a very political stance when I was here. I want to keep things very serious, as is my nature.
I would like to say I'm ill-equipped for any political debate.
No,
that's okay.
I play a game with my friends a lot called Deep Sea Adventure, which we colloquially call Drowning with Friends. Yeah, that's all very good. And if that got real, Drowning with Friends suddenly sounds a lot less fun.
Yeah,
if there's any chance of actually, I think
if there was real peril on the line. So if you haven't played Deep Sea Adventure, it is a game where you're starting on a submarine. It's quite a small game, very small box.
Yeah,
it's very cutesy. And the idea is that
perfect to take on a submarine.
Exactly.
Not a lot of space.
But what will happen is that you're trying to go down as far as you can to get the best goods and then come back. But the problem is every time you pick up one of these goods, it slows you down getting back.
Yeah.
So you have to balance it between essentially stepping on your friends and getting back in time before the oxygen runs out, because that's a constant countdown. So I feel like if there was a real peril involved, would it change, or would you just be like, no, I'll just kill my mates? Well, but they'll be back in 2 seconds because it's normally played after 3 rounds anyway.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
But how good is the loot that you're getting?
It's like 4 points. Pretty good.
What does a point equate to?
Is this
in
treasure?
real life?
Is it like bits to fix your submarine?
Honestly, it's so abstract. There's nothing. Like it could be anything, and it doesn't look particularly appealing either. And you suddenly you take a step back from it. You're like, what are these people asking us to do?
Oh no!
I think they're just shapes as well. They just get slightly more points on it. Oh, you've got a triangle.
This one's got 4 dots. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I feel like it must be covering up something super sinister then.
Oh yeah.
Mm.
Oh, yeah,
on all of my submarine expeditions, I'm going to say it hasn't got that bad. I haven't had to go out underneath with a very limited air supply. I've mainly stayed on submarine.
Yeah.
Every time you've been on a submarine, you've had to stay on it.
To be honest, I actually probably have been on a submarine, but it was one of those you go and see a boat. Yay! It's a submarine. It's great. Great story.
It's pretty good.
Have you ever been on a submarine? Yes. Cool.
It might have been a boat.
It's classified.
I can't tell you anymore.
I'm sorry. Everything else was redacted in that. It was everyone was thoroughly entertained. But we brought them. So tell me more about the situation. We've got how many people at this council? Are we waiting for the 9th at this point?
Yeah, I think we're waiting for one last person. I guess Mungo's running late.
Yep.
He's finding
Typical
it hard
Mungo.
getting through all of that elven architecture.
He's just too big. He's
just too big.
Duck under all the arches
and so you've just got to fill some time. But you don't want people wandering off, because then Mungo's going to turn up and then someone else is off doing something. So you need to keep people's focus together, and just try and root out who the jerk is. Find that person.
So obviously the first thing that comes to mind is a hidden role game, or is it just maybe a game that encourages bad behavior? Because if you maybe go alone, then you get potential benefits. What kind of things? Is there anything that immediately strikes you on that sort of?
I feel like hidden role that's just going to teach you who's good at lying, not who's an asshole.
Right.
surely that's good as well, right?
Yeah, true. Always useful.
Yeah, because you can if you work out someone's really good at lying, you keep a little bit more of an eye on them, right? It's like Gaius Baltar getting 2 rolled cards in Battlestar Galactica at the beginning.
Yeah,
might still be a good guy,
but more likely to be a bad guy.
More likely to be a bad guy. So you just keep more of an eye on that.
Yeah,
it feels like it's not the assholes you have to look out for though, because an asshole you can always assume they're going to be an asshole. It's the people that are telling that might be telling the truth, that are lying, that could be the hidden asshole. And those are the ones you have to look out for.
True.
Yeah. You want maybe something semi-co-op. There's a lot of games now where you're kind of working together, and then at the last minute, only one of you can win. So you've got to get the game to a point where you can like succeed. One of you can succeed, but only one of you can succeed.
Right.
So who's going to be the cutthroat one? Who's going to be the ruthless? Like,
I suppose when those kind of conversations come around, maybe there's multiple people that can win. Then they start openly talking. On your board games, do you tend to find anybody opens up a WhatsApp and starts like having those conversations across? No? The very first game.
That is intense.
This is news. Have you been doing this to me for years?
I have not. However, I was part of a game, notably a Twilight Imperium game. It's the reference. But that was literally the situation where people were playing it on WhatsApp, and I was like, I was assuming that we're very social. You're having these conversations over the table. Yeah, you're trying to be sneaky, but people kind of know. No, it was a silent game. People were just texting each other, and I was like, "This isn't what I signed up for."
I can play that on my PC.
Yeah, exactly right. That's literally a PC. Yeah, right.
That's horrible.
Playing a game recently called Alice is Missing.
Oh,
which
I've
is
never
great.
played it. I've heard it's great.
It's an RPG, kind of tabletop RPG, where one of your friends, you're playing teenage children, and you're teenagers.
Nice, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah. Suddenly that word came to me. But yeah, you're playing teenagers, and one of your friends has gone missing at school, and you play the whole game around the same table, but in silence over a WhatsApp group message.
Oh, wow.
So you're texting each other like as the game happens. And it's such a weird atmosphere. Just the idea of like you're all there and you could talk, but theoretically in game thematically, you are in each other's houses or kind of out looking and that kind of stuff. And you'll play cards that will tell you kind of where you are and what's going on.
Yeah.
But it's such a weird atmosphere. Like, and that is the idea of like forming alliances over WhatsApp, because the connection that you have, like in an alliance or something, when it's written down, it's suddenly just doesn't feel as binding. It's not like there's something that's missing from that kind of like having the chat in person.
Yeah.
So then being kind of cooperative or working together kind of over chat, and kind of people just meaning gets lost as well. It's very strange. Like it's a really weird atmosphere.
Probably at the end of the game to then go back and be like, what did you talk about?
Yeah.
Hey, why were you targeting me?
Yeah. And there were whole kind of conversations outside of the group chat that you weren't privy to, or like as soon as you start suspecting that's going on, you're just like the most paranoid.
Well, you're waiting for someone to reply to your message, but you see them typing away to someone else.
Yeah, that sounds
and you're like,
bad.
hang on a minute, who are you talking to?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I love or hate that. It's bizarre.
I've always wanted to try it out. I remember hearing about that a couple of years ago, and it sounded great, really interesting.
Really hard to talk to about without giving anything away as well. So but really, really worth it. I would say fantastic little game. But
so, from the outset, should we set like a vague number of people? Do we have? Yeah. Is it between 3 and 20?
Keep it like a little ethereal. Between 4 to 9.
4 to 9.
Because I feel like maybe let's say something about that. Because God, I could always ditch the hobbits from that fellowship. Just take the other people.
Okay, fair enough.
Wow, well, maybe you're ditching the hobbits before like Legolas.
No.
Wait, why Legolas?
He did that cool bit where he surfed on a shield. Like that's going to come in real handy.
That's true. You do want him on the team.
If you want to quickly cross snow as well, it's just running atop.
Boom. Exactly.
Wow. Because Tom famously hates elves.
What are you talking about? We're in a different universe. This isn't like our
Exactly.
regular sort of stream type thing.
Okay.
Now, Tom, the elf lover.
It's a totally different side of you. Whoa!
No, elves are the worst. Please don't recommend any elf games. Do I have the power to like dock people points if they recommend an elf game at the end?
Yeah.
Then yeah, if your game involves elves, you'll be losing points.
Watch out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's about 50% of the boxes have just gone.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that they'll be allowed if you can somewhat kill the elves.
Oh yeah, that's fine.
Right.
That's totally fine.
Does that give you plus points?
Sure. How many points can I give out? Well, if this is the final round, which one of you is the Gryffindor house where you'll definitely win as just 50 points for your elf killing game. I love it.
I think at the moment we've pretty much got even scores other than Dickie, who's currently leading with 3 points. pretty much won 100% of the time that he's been a guest guru.
Yeah. No, I have. I'm on a winning streak.
You are.
He's in the lead. Get him.
Exactly.
Like, yeah, that's very.
So me and
attack.
Tom are forming an alliance under the table. We've got our WhatsApp going.
Oh no.
Yeah.
We've agreed that whoever of us is in the lead is going to give all. The other one will give all their points to them in like a sacrificial play.
Voltron together.
Yeah. Because you don't want to be first in a big group board game where people can gang up. Being first means you're not going to win. If you're first up until the halfway point.
Oh yeah, you're gonna get blue shelled at some point.
I mean,
Someone's gonna take you out.
That's it. Whoever's in last is just going to throw themselves at you, and then it's a battle between second and third to see who can like actually get on top.
Yeah, I'm out in the front throwing bananas.
Yeah.
And
Or you're getting coins.
I feel like the way you feel about elves is the way I feel about bananas. So it's a really awkward position.
Wow.
True.
Okay, but you're
Yeah.
kind of throwing them away, right? So it's like
Yeah,
win-win.
no, just as quickly as I get them. Just
Okay, just get them out of there.
So are there any like mechanics, themes, styles of board games that you love or you hate that can like help narrow down recommendations?
If there's too many rules, I am not going to play it. If
Right.
it takes too long to play, not going to play it. My attention span is short and limited. Real tough. I need to get into it pretty fast. And if I don't, oh god, like I can't keep that many things in my head. If there's more than if there's too much complication, I'm out. I do like dice. If there's dice involved, that could be fun. It's not essential, but can be good. So simpler is good. A nice theme. I get into a theme quite a lot. I feel like those are probably the main caveats. I don't want too many tokens either. Ugh, God.
Right.
Okay.
A game that takes a long time to set up. Not really my kind of thing.
Board game without a board.
Plus that table they have in the middle of the Council of Elrond, it's real small.
Yeah.
Like, it's kind of weird that they just have this tiny plinth table in the middle of this grand hall.
Yeah, well, it's the special, ring table, right? They knew what they were going to place on it. But why bring a banquet table? That'd be weird when they come up and awkwardly put the little ring in the middle.
Yeah.
Oh god, you overdid it with the table.
Yeah, well, we were playing Twilight Imperium before you guys showed up.
Exactly. Maybe that table is a good size. I don't want too much being taken up. So yeah. Something like that. Does that help to kind of focus your laser
definitely ruled
minds?
a couple of things out, which is useful.
Yeah.
I think I'm rethinking, but yeah, I'm similar to you. I like a game that you can kind of get into quickly, and like if people are coming over, I'll make sure the game's set up before people get there.
Nice.
Just like
So that's actually quite interesting because so Dickie is the one that's actually pretty much introduced me to most of the board games pretty much since Chance Encounters has opened. I almost looked at Dickie emphatically to be like, Dickie, what are we playing next? What you got? What's interesting? And you said that you prefer the shorter games rather than the longer games.
I prefer is a strong word, like, but I always have space in my head for a quick game. But like I feel like I need to like recharge after a big game. Like I'm like have a set amount of a quota for like big games I can do in a month or so. Like like I had one of the bank holidays because we've had quite a few recently. I got invited to a day where it was just all day board games, and I did 2 really big games, enjoyed them, did really well, loved them. The third big game came along, and I just I just passed out.
Mm.
I blacked out.
Just collapsed.
I have no idea.
You're done.
I just I just stopped functioning. It was like you could see the batteries going down. I just needed a big charge up after that. I didn't have space for it. I think that's like, I don't know. I think that's true of quite a few people as well. Like,
is that the same for you, Tom? Do you have a limit on, like you were talking about rules being complicated, you're out. Do you have a limit on how long a board game should take place? Even if it was super easy rules, you'd be like, if it goes past an hour, I'm done.
I think it's a bit of, you know, I made the joke about it. I don't really like to read stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Reading rules, no. I'll learn it on the job, and that normally involves me then like kind of picking stuff up as I go along.
Yeah.
Because if you bombard me with a load of rules at the beginning, I'm going to remember the last 2 that you told me about.
Yeah.
And so I find it kind of takes me a couple of times to really get into a game, and if that game takes 3 hours to play, you know, you can't just knock that out in one day. Or, well, no, I'm sure a lot of people just spat out their tea like, oh, we do that every week. But for me, I just find it hard, a bigger barrier of entry to get into. But in turn, some of my favorite games that I've played are big, long, complicated games.
All right.
But it takes a long time for me to get into that. And as more time goes by, I have less and less patience to learn new stuff.
Yeah.
When you should be doing something easier.
Yeah.
And so that's why I now really like super quick throwaway games that you can just play.
Yeah.
Play 5 rounds, 10 rounds of one shorter game than playing one big game. I think also along the lines of it's so much less of a commitment that if after a couple of rounds of a 5-10 minute game or 20-minute, half an hour game, you can stop at any point. Like the difference between watching a TV show or committing to watching a movie.
Yeah.
Like, you can sit and binge watch 10 episodes of a TV show if you're really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because you know you can stop at any episode.
Can stop at any time.
Can stop, I promise. But sitting down to watch like a 3-hour-long movie is a bigger commitment at the beginning. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah.
And also, you know, smaller games often have like, I find, like more wacky, like just one creative mechanic that you're generally playing around, and that can be fun.
I find that the shorter the game, the more it almost relies on the people that you're playing with, because they're the bit that adds the theme almost to it. It's very important who you're playing with, because like we've played Bez's game and you read it out to us previously, and it's a fantastic game about making sounds of monsters.
A wee whimsical game of playing monsters and making noises.
Yeah, it's just the worst title.
I was
the
so
monster
confident
noises
going
game,
into
we'll call
that.
it.
I was so confident going into that. I just bailed halfway through.
But like playing that game, I can imagine with certain groups of people, they'll be like, okay, thanks, that's all you're going to give me. And then there's other people that you play with, and it's like, it's the best game you ever played. And probably the worst situation would be going in from having played a great game of it, being like, yes, I'm going to bring this to my regular board game group. They're going to love it. And then they're just like, what is this game?
Yeah.
There's no mechanics in her.
I was playing that game with a 5-year-old the other day, and they just went for it. It was great. It was a really great experience because they were just really throwing themselves into the noises. And then one of the adults came along and just kind of, you know, just really didn't get the vibe. Just really, and yeah, you're absolutely right. Like the 4-year-old said what I was thinking.
So just for the listeners, both of you gave examples of someone that doesn't give a very interesting monster noise. Can we just get some examples of what interesting monster noises would be?
I feel like we'd need almost a card to display, but I'll go.
I always feel like one that goes up at the end, like. Like, something that just a little question mark at the end of the monster.
I mean, if you would like to draw what either of those monsters look like, we would love to see that.
Yeah.
Please
We're doing the reverse way now. We've given you the sounds.
Yeah.
Please submit those. That'd be great.
A wee whimsical game of hearing noises and drawing monsters that sound like them.
Wonderful title. Wonderful title.
I know, I learned from the best.
That game sounds amazing, though. That reverse game.
Yeah.
Someone makes a noise, everyone's got like 30 seconds to draw that monster, you put them all down, and then someone picks, that's the one that I think that noise sounds the most like. I'd 100% play that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like you just get a copy of Scrawl, which comes with all of the clipboards, and then you don't need anything else.
Honestly, I think you just need a piece of paper.
Well, that's true.
Because how do you even, like, you can't deal someone some cards and then they read out the noise. I don't think that's going to work.
I just thought if you had the game of Scrawl, so the Scrawl is this kind of game of Chinese whispers where you're alternating trying to write what someone has drawn. So you, depending on whether you get a picture or whether or not you get a message, a text, or whatever it would be, you're trying to communicate the other one to the next person on. Hilariously, Scrawl was one of the cheapest ways of picking up 8 copy, like
8 notepads.
It genuinely was. It's a bargain of a game if that's what you need it for, which is why immediately I was like, how can I plunder another board game for this? And then you just buy that and then just be like, make up a sound, and then it's I never score these things anyway. You just be like, pick the best. Done.
Although it's always quite intimidating playing a drawing game at Chance. Somehow Chance Encounters seems to employ really talented illustrators at a rate that I've not seen anywhere else.
Wow, okay.
Like everyone in the Chance staff is just really talented at drawing, and I am not. So,
but there's something that's even better. I'd far rather. Oh no, I don't know. I really like playing these games with terrible artists because
it makes you feel good about your art.
that childlike innocence they bring to their fun stick figures. Ben's pictures. We played some drawing games together. And his are always superb.
Yeah.
Wow. By superb, you mean filled with the wonder of a child.
And the skills of a child.
Thank you for the compliment.
Definitely a compliment.
Yeah. I mean, in a game like Scrawl, where one of the things you're trying to do is guess what each drawing is, it's always a better time if people get it wrong.
Yeah.
You know, because games of Scrawl where you go around a whole table and you write down what it is and it comes back exactly the same. Not enjoyable.
I'll always give it a weird interpretation. If I'm playing a game like that and I feel like it's super obvious what it's supposed to be, I will just give it a little nudge in the wrong direction.
Is that why your pictures are always...
I'm doing it for the team, for the group experience, Tom. I'm actually a very good artist.
I was playing it the other week, and Velociraptor Jesus, which I drew,
I
thought very well, came back as Weasel Vicar. And that's what you want from the game, you know? Exactly. So it was enjoyable for sure.
Wow.
It's an interesting game that you can play with like loads of different people, and then you sometimes you'll play with someone that you're not so sure about, and then they'll come back with an absolute slammer, and you'll be like, "Whoa!" And this is where the hidden role potentially comes in. Maybe Scrawl's actually what we needed in the first place, which is see who comes up with
See who is the Ben sending pictures off the wrong way, just for the hell of it.
Does that mean that I'm secretly a Boromir? If I'm put under enough pressure,
I believe you are a Drawomir.
Nice. There is a group of games as well that you can play whilst playing other games, right? I'm not sure. The Sneaky Cards was one that was made for like conventions where it was literally like you're playing a game and it would be like, go give this with a chocolate bar to someone, and then they would kind of register and do some other things. And there's also other games where I think it's like Dear Lord, where you're playing. It's again games within games where you're trying to get someone to repeat a made-up word that you've used, and then, or trying to convince them that it's real or something like that. And so you can be playing other games, and then when you've managed to succeed on this ulterior motive, you're like, here, I've won, and
game within a game within a game.
Yeah,
my God,
it just gets meta.
Inception.
Exactly.
I've literally never heard of that like subgenre. That's crazy.
Yeah,
we did that in the office one year.
Did we, or were you doing it to me without my knowledge?
I'm sure Ben was part of this game.
There was a game. It was for one of the Jingle Jam charity days. Everyone was given. God, it wasn't quite like a card. It was like almost like a little strip. And everyone had like maybe 6 of those.
I think know the game.
Kind of like I think they were like bright pink or bright blue.
Yeah, it was Don't Get Got.
Maybe that's it. And you had to get people to do things, and as the first person to get rid of all 6, I think we were playing with, or maybe it was 5, would win. And we did a couple of rounds of that.
I have no memory. Is that why I was hopping on the spot for you?
But it's literally doing that kind of thing. And it was a lot of fun because everyone's kind of distracted, and you're just kind of goofing around. And then
you need a day where everything is going on. People's minds are off, like because. I play that game, and I'm constantly on guard. You need to distract me because I am just questioning everything at that point.
Do you almost like give it the day before? Be like, these are the ones that we're going to play with tomorrow. So everyone's like vaguely aware of it, but by the time they get there, like, okay, I'm kind of, I'm not super focused on it.
Yeah.
Or maybe you get a really expensive, like long game that you're trying to figure out with a huge amount of rules, and by the end of it, everyone's super bored anyway.
Yeah.
There you go. It's wielding the weight of the rule book on people.
Oh God, too many rules.
Feel Tom disengaging already.
Retract.
Just the mention of rules.
Okay, so we've currently got a larger number of people. 4 to 9, I think, was the one. Sure. We've got a wide variety of heights, if that happens to inform anyone's decision, and generally no other specifics. Times preferably on the lighter end. Rules preferably none. Was there anything else that we kind of wanted to try and eke out of this scenario? What else have we got to think about?
Sure. I mean, if it's like the Council of Elrond, do we need to be worried about like not everyone can read the same language? You know, they're from the Dwarven realm and the Elven realm and the human realm. Do we need like one of those games that's not language dependent and it's all just kind of symbols and super easy and straightforward?
Maybe.
I mean, it means you have to read less.
Reading less is always good. That kind of thing. That sounds great. More pictures, more good. Yeah, sure. Why not? Everyone reads a different language. Wait, does that mean they all speak different languages as well?
Well, they don't in the film, do they? I think they've all learned the common tongue, or whatever it is, right?
Common, right?
Yeah.
That's probably the game that you're playing. I don't know. Do you guys ever play? Someone turns up with a really niche Euro game, and you're playing it all in German.
I've never had that experience. The only game that I've played in a different language is Geistblitz, but that's literally no rules, pretty much. To an extent, it's just pictures.
I've had a couple of instances where I've been so eager to get a game, I've bought it and not realized all the instructions in German. So that's happened to me before, where I've like had to learn German for a very specific reason. But that's like, I can't say anything in German, but I can like teach the rules to very small amount of games.
Like watch a YouTube video about how to play rather than learning German. That feels like the real long way.
It was always the way to get early copies, so there weren't necessarily always videos out at that point. But yeah, or at least not in English. They were all in German.
Right.
The videos were all in German as well. Yeah.
Did you basically go on the Duolingo app and just went the board game one, and you had to learn all of the German board game titles?
Yeah.
Wow.
What's the word for roll? What's the word for you've betrayed me, you motherfucker? Yeah. How do I say this in German?
Nice.
Where do I put the accent to make it angry and not a question? Yeah.
That's a very important thing.
Yeah.
The stress is on the English language. They've got to port over, right?
Yeah.
Surely.
Sure. Okay. Well.
So yeah, I'd say maybe worrying about the language aspects. Maybe not too heavy a problem.
Okay.
Is there anybody on the council that you think is like?
Yeah. Who's the dodgy one? And also, like, what role are you taking in this? Because presumably you're there. So,
I'm going to be like the cool ring bearer, right?
Okay.
So it is specifically to see whether or not who's going to stab you in the back.
Sure. But who knows? Maybe I'm the Boromir, and I'm planning to take them all, so far of the way.
Yeah.
They take me to Mount Doom, and then I just kneel before Sauron, and I'm just like, boo, make me the new king of the Ringwraiths, because I'm actually the coolest. And then he'll take me in.
I do feel like if I saw you as the ring bearer in amongst a load of hobbits, you'd immediately be the suspicious one. I'm like, one of these things does not look the same.
Yeah, I'm Bongo Tumblefoot or
Yeah,
something, whatever.
I'm a hobbit, sure, whatever.
Breakfast.
Yeah. I was initially going to be Gandalf's stunt double, but they put me over here. So.
Yeah, maybe I'll be the traitor. Who knows? It's a different timeline.
All right.
I guess you need to find that out. You need to know if you're going to betray yourself or not.
Also,
and plan ahead.
Finding out how kind of gullible and easy to trick everyone else is. You want to test out a bit of that.
Oh yeah. Like assess the competition.
Yeah.
Sure.
Be like, okay, right, that person's always real suspicious of me. So they're the one who's got to fall over the ravine pretty quickly.
Yeah, I know who I'm asking to stay behind and hold them up while we escape.
Yeah, 100%. It's you.
You're the bravest, so come on.
Yeah. But I'm just a hobbit. No, I'm pretty sure you can take all those trolls. Get out of here.
Have you heard of leverage? Come on. So with this, in the original Council of Elrond, it wasn't just the people that went on. They weren't just be like, actually, you know what, all of us will do it. It was definitely lots of other people. Could we even exceed the 9? Like, are we counting all the assistants in the back there? Are they going to be jumping in on this?
Sure, yeah, because it'd be weird if suddenly just you were playing this game and then you had all these spectators, right? I feel like I'd be a bit more self-conscious.
An interesting one to see what the spectators got out of that interesting board game. Be like, did they see all of these hidden conversations going on?
Like, it's sometimes easier to spot those things from the outside. Yeah, and so some games are better for spectator games than others as well. Like, I feel like all of these are going to be quite good.
I mean, the amount of times that you shout at the telly, right? Like that just everybody does it. Like, it's like, what are you doing? Of course they're the evil one. Why are you thinking that?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, how rowdy is this crowd going to be? Like, is it going to be like a snooker match where someone's just like, quiet, please? Or is it, WWE and people are just going fucking crazy all the time?
I'd really lean on that side because, at the end, they're all arguing, aren't they, and shouting over each other.
That's true.
Bickering. I think it's a rowdy crowd, and if someone betrays someone else, you've literally just got 20 dwarves going, oh my God!
Okay, no, I like that. Sure, right. It's the Council of Elrond, but I imagine with 20, 30,000 spectators.
Wow.
I feel like you're going to have some magic users as well who are going to be able to just see everyone's hands.
Almost
like when you're watching a poker match and you can kind of have the cool under the table.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's going to be a crystal ball somewhere with two presenters who are transmitting this to every hobbit hole around the world as they broadcast this amazing weird hidden role game.
Coming live, we'll see who's going to be the ring bearer today.
Yeah, boom.
Just make sure that Sauron doesn't see this.
Sauron, turn off now.
They literally got one of those Palandirs.
Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Saruman, the weirdly psyched.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I think we're getting closer to the exact scenario that I want. So yeah.
All right, so we'll go on to our recommendations. Ben, would you like to go first?
Okay, sure. I'm going to recommend a game that I think you've already played, but I think fits the scenario perfectly.
Okay.
It's Cutthroat Caverns, which is a fantasy dungeon crawler with a bit of a twist. The idea is it's semi-cooperative. You've already defeated the monster and stolen the treasure, and now the group of adventurers has to escape the dungeon. But only really one of you needs to escape. So essentially the way it works is every monster you encounter is too tough for one person to beat alone. And you have to work as a team. But every time you kill a monster, you get points. And only the person who lands the last hit gets the points. So while you do have to work together to defeat it, you don't really want to work too hard because if you hit it for 100 damage and then it's got 10 health left, the next guy comes along and gets the points. So you've got a lot of cards where you can interrupt people or force them to do different attacks, or and also most of the bosses and monsters in the game attack certain players depending on which monster they are. So one monster may attack the person who hit it for the most damage or the person who hit it for the least damage. And if someone starts pulling ahead on points, you can, make them hit it for the most damage, and then the creature will attack them instead of hitting you. Or you can swap initiative places with someone so that you get the last hit in instead of them. So it's one of these games where usually 2 or 3 people are dead before the game ends. And then it gets very difficult because the bosses don't get any easier.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a game that perfectly shows what you want from people on a team. How much are you going to screw the team over for your own personal advantage? Because everyone has to do it a little bit. Some people do it a lot more than others. And that's how you identify your Boromir. Someone who is just willing to let the whole team die because I'm not going to win this now. I'm too far behind. So I'm just going to sabotage it so that everyone dies except for me. And then I win by default, even though I've got the least points because everyone else is dead.
Yeah.
And he just wants to watch the world burn. So yeah, it's a fantasy theme. It's cooperative, but everyone's actually out for themselves. And it really, really can make you not trust someone in real life after you've played it a couple of times.
Just imagine.
I've not actually played this one. That sounds great. I'm quite enthused. I'm going to try and look it up afterwards.
It's rare to find a game that Dickie hasn't heard of.
Yeah,
so this is also an achievement unlocked.
It might be out of print. I bought it maybe 10 years ago.
All right.
So I have no idea. I haven't looked up if it's still available, but it's still a great game, and I'm sure you can pick up copies.
Fully recommend you getting this game. Classic situation. Dickie.
I'm going to suggest a game actually by the same people that did Deep Sea Adventure. It's Oink Games. They do these kind of very small boxes. And this is Fake Artist Goes to New York. So we're bringing back the drawing kind of element, but it's hidden role drawing, which is great. So one of you is going to be the kind of storyteller, and they give everyone a little card that's got a topic of their choosing on. So you can put down pig, you can put down kind of sword, whatever you want. So
my 2 favorite topics.
Exactly. Yeah. And then you've got to kind of say what category they fall into. Okay. So you might, if it's pig, you might say animal. If it's sword, say weapon. One of the cards, however, you just write X on. Okay. So you just draw an X and then you give them out randomly. So everyone is going to know what they're drawing, apart from one person who is our fake artist. Okay. The way the game works is that you have to, on your turn, when the piece of paper comes around to you, it's one shared piece of paper. You have to draw one continuous line with a pen, and then you pass the paper on. So you've got this weird kind of amalgam of lines kind of coming together. And when it gets around to the person who has no idea what they're trying to draw, they know it's an animal or a weapon or whatever. They just have to put in the best line that they can do to make sure that they're going to go under the radar. No one's going to pick them up as the person who has literally no clue what they're doing.
It's like Spyfall, but with drawing.
It really is, yeah. It's very Spyfall-esque, yes. Each person's got a different coloured felt tip as well, so you can tell who did what line.
I was about to ask about that.
Yeah,
right.
So you can tell who did what, who did each line. And someone does a straight line, they're immediately suspicious. Immediately, you're like, what are they on?
It must be hard if you're the first person and you're the imposter.
It can occasionally go wrong, but the first line always tends to be quite cagey because, like Spyfall,
you don't want to give it away.
It has the same thing. If the person can guess what what everyone was trying to draw,
right,
then they are immediately winning. They've won that round.
I famously played a game of Spyfall with Dickie
Oh God, I knew you were going to bring this up.
He
Okay,
was
sure.
he was the spy, and he was the first person to get a question. And under the immense pressure of the weighty glances that were thrown his way, he was just, "I'm the spy, I'm the spy,
I don't think I even made 30 seconds. It was just like an instantaneous reaction of panic and fear.
Oh God.
Yeah, I'm very good at these games until you ask me to lie. At which point I'm like suddenly become like this person of virtue who's suddenly I couldn't possibly lie to you, sir. I've only ever been honest with you, I swear.
I definitely feel Boromir would not be Dickie incarnate at this point.
Okay.
Yeah. No,
Be safe if you want him on your fellowship.
I'm not. I mean, I basically only picked this game so I could say Dromir again, but I'm definitely not the Dromir of this. Like, I just can't take the pressure. But it's a really nice game. I think a really good spectator one as well, because it's kind of got that built in, because you've got one person who isn't drawing anything. And it's always entertaining as that person to see what the hell's going on when you know what people are trying to draw. It's when they draw kind of these stupid things. And the great thing about the end result of the drawing is that it looks kind of like the thing that you intended, but not really, because everyone's been a bit cagey with their lines. They look like these Picasso-esque masterpieces,
right?
When actually they're just the fumblings of like people who were just trying to keep it together.
So is the piece of paper face up the whole time?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, so you can always see what people are drawing, and you kind of like the gasps as someone draws a swirl. Like it's very, very
so rogue. Who went for a swirl? That's a real outside technique there.
So bold.
Yeah.
So brave.
I feel like, sorry to bring them up. You're gonna I've seen Elvish. Like it's very cursive. I feel like there's going to be some interesting shades.
No.
It's going to flow. It's going to be beautiful.
Yeah.
No, you get the hard dwarvish runes.
Yeah, a clash of styles. I think that's great.
Okay. Well, I am going to... So for my game, I'm going to recommend one that can pretty much do any number count. It's actually going to be called 2 Rooms and a Boom, which is another one of those games where it kind of says what it is on the tin. The idea is that it's mostly a convention game, so you wouldn't...
Hang on. I'm really sorry. It says what it does on the tin. Tom, could you tell us what you think 2 Rooms and a Boom is about?
I'm sorry, I only speak Orcish, and I can't read that language.
Issue there.
Oh, God.
Well, obviously you can extrapolate from the 2 rooms and a boom. But there are 2 rooms, and there's probably a bomber in there somewhere.
Sure.
So the idea is that it is what I'd say a convention game, meaning that it's not conventionally used for like your 4 players to 6 players. This can be, it's better at the higher number counts. It's a hidden role game as well. So what will happen is the overall arcing story of this, there is a president and there's a bomber. And at the end of however many rounds you're playing, between 3 and 5, you will try and get the bomber, if you're on the red team, the bomber's team, in the room with the president, who's on the blue team. And what will happen is the president wants to stay alive, so he wants the bomber to be in the other room. So what happens is you're dealt out a identity card at the very beginning, and that kind of tells you who you are, what color you are, as well as what role you're playing within that. There's lots of different roles, and you can mix it up, and then there's also some just like fairly vanilla, you're just blue team, you just want the blue team to succeed in their things. And what will happen is over these course, you get a decreasing amount of time when you're split up into 2 rooms, just randomly. You go around trying to talk to other people. You can do like color shares, so you can just be like, I'm on the blue team, what are you team? And something like that. Or you can just do a full card share, so you can be like, I'm not only on this team, but I'm also playing this role. And the idea is that you're encouraged to talk based on your roles. So, for example, there's an engineer who has to arm the bomb. And then once that bomb has been armed, they can officially win, as it were. And similarly, with the president, there's a situation where they have to meet the doctor for he needs to get his vaccination for unknown reason. Otherwise, he doesn't live as well. I'm not sure about that particular one. I'm sure there's a thematic reason. The idea is that you can cultivate that. You can have a really easy first game, and then you can kind of add rules as you play it in several different games. And it really does work well on the sort of top end of what you're talking about, like the 8 onwards. It can go like up to 20, and it doesn't add any extra time particularly. It just means that you have to be a little bit more like focused on maybe your discussions and such. And it immediately has this hidden role element to it. So maybe someone's trying to be like a little bit like sneaky, but that might be their role. Maybe it's not. It's a classic game. It is fantastic in these large situations.
We've had some really good times at like conventions, and you kind of get late night kind of whispers that there might be a game of Two Rooms and a Boom happening somewhere, and like you just get people like wandering around corridors being really excited. Have you heard? Where's it happening? Like, and then you get that, like you're gathering a horde of people who are just all ready to like play. And then you just, in a corridor somewhere in the NEC or whatever, just being like, this is amazing.
It was actually the way that me and Dickie first met Russ, who is the other guru who's been on recommending games.
Yeah,
we actually met Russ through the Two Rooms and Boom that he suggested. So I'm in many ways we're teaming up with Russ as well here against Dickie.
So does it need like a host or a narrator to run it?
It doesn't.
Kind of a moderator, I'd say. Yeah, you need someone to, because there's so many people and it is chaotic, and that's the kind of wonderful thing about it. You need someone to make sure that it's not going too long, or if people need more time, you can kind of stretch it out a little bit.
The main thing is that at each of these like rounds, and it'll be like maybe 5 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. What'll happen is that there's a team lead in those rooms, and those get voted on. They can get voted on by like, I want to be the leader, and then everybody points suddenly at the leader. Then if they get a majority of the room, they suddenly become the leader. And what will happen is at the end of those rounds, you send over people into the other room, and they get a swap. So that's where you're trying to get that bomber into the same room. But did they just send over the bomber? Did they send over the president? Who knows what's going on? So you have to kind of like second guess and all the rest of it. Or maybe just try and take covert control. But there's some grey people. Let's get those on board. And it becomes all about alliances and stuff. So it's quite interesting. And through that, you really learn who you can trust and you can't trust.
Yeah, it's quite an exciting experience because it feels really unique, like as a game. And you know, it's like Rich says, it's not a game where you're just gonna, should we play Two Rooms and a Boom tonight? You can't do that. You kind of have to have the right time with the right people, and everyone just gets really exciting. And it's actually quite difficult to find now a copy of it. It's not something I don't think you can just buy anymore. So it still feels that when that opportunity comes up, it still feels really exciting.
So we're doing a great round of recommending board
old
games.
But no, I think it's nice. I think it's one of these things that because it's going to happen at conventions, it's one that's worth knowing about in case something happens.
Right.
You know, I think it's still a really good recommendation because it'll happen when it happens, and you kind of just need to be ready for that opportunity. I think it's a lot of unique games, kind of like the novelty wears off after a couple of years. With Two Rooms and a Boom, it just hasn't. I don't think it's.
I guess because you don't get to play it very often. Really.
Yeah.
I can just imagine now, like some elf going up to some dwarf saying, "I'm on the blue team. What about you?" And the dwarf just being there going, "Never trust an elf."
Exactly that.
Not showing you my colour.
We've got to promote interracial communication with this. Okay, so I think those are the three. Do you have any questions or queries about the games? Anything that you want more information about?
No. Well, so I feel like Dickie's game was explained very well, very eloquently. I feel like I've kind of latched my brain onto that. And I have played the other two games.
All right.
Two Rooms and a Boom. Big fan. I think it's a very, very fun game. And Cutthroat Caverns, big fan as well. There's a boss in that. One mechanic that you didn't mention, honestly, I think it's one of the expansions to that game, which I'd say you should never, ever play this game without this expansion.
Okay.
Which is the Weir Ball, which is a boss that
I'd forgotten
when
about
you
him.
fight the Weir Ball, it's just because you go through that game, you fight all these different bosses, you kill this boss. He's pretty standard, but if he ever attacks you, you get given a hidden roll card, where there is a chance in this deck of Weir Ball cards, one says you are the Weir Ball, and if you make it to the end, generally the party is, whoever is left is super disheveled, they're really injured, not having a good time. If you are the Weir Ball, they have to fight that boss again, and if they lose to it, then you win as the Weir Ball.
Yeah.
Right.
So you become the boss for everyone who's left to gang up on.
And so if you know that you're the Weir Ball, you are trying to get everyone to as low life as possible.
Yeah.
But you still need to make it to the end. But in turn, everyone's like, you got bitten by the ball. You could be a Weir Ball.
Man.
Shall we kill that person off? And it
Changes the dynamics of that game quite a lot.
yeah, it adds so much to it. Big fan.
Cool.
And of course, we find out who the Weir Boromir is.
Nice. Oh,
Linking
slinging
it all
them
together.
out. Yeah.
just so good. So yeah, familiar with that game. Big fan.
Good stuff.
So if we were to press you, would you pick one of these 3 games to take to your council?
Oh yeah, 100%, 100%. So I think I'd be a bit worried about 2 Rooms and a Boom, as that Elrond's council feels like it'd be harder to split the people separately.
Sure. That's true.
They're all around together, and that seems like a pain. The Cutthroat Caverns, although amazing, takes a little bit longer. A little bit more time, and you've got some tokens and there's cards. There's a whole lot of stuff to carry around. Whereas I hate to add to this combo streak, but genuinely, as you were describing this game, what was it called?
A fake artist goes to New York.
As you were describing, I was just like, oh my god, I just want to play this game. I want to play this more than anything. This sounds amazing. I love drawing games. I like that hidden roll mechanic. This feels like something that you might not necessarily need. I don't know if this is a great promotion for the game. I feel like you could just do this with your own pens and
essentially. And that's sometimes the great thing, that these kind of folk games that have been kind of passed down and we just kind of do this, sometimes it's great that they are formalized so that we forget to find out about them. I think it's one of these things that could have just been hidden in a basement, of someone's, this is what we've done on Christmas or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's kind of formalized and we've got access to it now.
And
preserved for the ages.
Yeah. I honestly absolutely love the sound of that. It sounds great. You get to laugh at Boromir when he's terrible at drawing. I think that's probably my winning game, mainly because I feel like I know most of the rules from you just telling me about the game, and could probably run like a bastardized version of it myself right now. And it just ticks a lot of those boxes. And that spectator sport sounds great. Having Grima Wormtongue and King Theoden as the announcers narrating what is going on would be just fantastic. Awesome.
Yes. You got me.
Wow. Dickie leads, not only now has all of the points, is there a Dumbledore? We got extra points that we want to award?
I don't think we can even combo all our points together now.
Actually, you can, both of you, 2 Rooms and a Boom and Cutthroat Caverns, you can both have a point.
Okay.
Because I genuinely love both of those games. Really do enjoy them. But Dickie, that's like 10,000 points.
Whoa. Saying a high score immediately on Series 1.
We reset for Season 2.
I think you absolutely nailed exactly what I want.
Sick.
I'm not gonna lie, Dickie is so good at recommending games. Like genuinely every time I play with him, he brings out a banger. So it's no surprise that he's nailed this one.
Sweet. Well done.
Well done.
Well, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Where can people find you?
Oh, just all over the place.
In your cupboards, under the stairs.
I do YouTube stuff. I do stuff with Ben.
Yep.
I don't know. If you liked the sound of my voice,
You'll
find it somewhere.
Google it.
Just Google it. It'll be there.
Cool Tom man voice.
That's right. Perfect.
Gotta get an ad on that. Just make sure that any Cool Tom Man voice just comes up straight one right there.
Yeah, you got to be careful on that kind of thing. But yeah,
So Angry Tom on YouTube and Twitch, right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Perfect.
Good job.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks,
man.
hype man Ben.
Well, that'll be all for us today. Thanks so much. We will do a short, additional episode where we'll sum up and crown our victor, whoever that might potentially possibly be. Where that'll be the gurus that you saw on this podcast, and we'll be joining those. So do stay tuned, and we will. Well, thank you very much for being with us. If you liked what we did today, please consider subscribing, jamming that bell icon, and all the stuff that good thumbs up.
Good stuff.
Again,
Like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend, or just set up 20 devices all set to auto download the podcast every week. Whatever you can.
Stand around a water cooler, harass people.
Try and get other people to name draw the thing that we oh my god.
This is the thing. Play some of the games we've recommended.
Ooh, that would be cool.
That's the good thing.
And if there's a game that you think that we should have recommended, I'd be really keen to see what that one would be as well.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. Leave a comment with a better recommendation than what we gave.
Wow. That's good. That's good.
It's good SEO, right?
Well, thank you so much. That's all from us, and have a good one.
Bye.